Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready to explore another fascinating corner of the world. Today we're diving into artificial intelligence AI and its potential impact on the global stock market.
It's a hot topic for sure.
It is, and, especially some experts think AI could actually make the U.S. stock market even more dominant globally.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty bold prediction, especially when you consider that the U.S. market already holds the largest share.
It does, yeah.
I was reading this report from JPMorgan Asset Management the other day, and they're suggesting that by 2037, the U.S. market share might actually dip a little bit.
Okay.
From like 64% down to 60%.
Still.
But even with that tiny drop, it's still way ahead of any other country.
Yeah, 60%. I mean, that's a huge piece of the pie.
Yeah.
What exactly makes JPMorgan think that AI will have this kind of impact?
Well, they believe AI will really kind of supercharge U.S. companies in two major ways. First, it'll boost their revenues. If you think about it, AI isn't just transforming the tech industry. It's really shaking things up across all sectors, creating this ripple effect.
So it's not just, the big tech players that we always hear about, like Google or Amazon.
Exactly right. Look at a company like NVIDIA, for example. They make those powerful AI chips,
right,
the ones everyone's using. And as the demand for those chips explodes, so does the need for electricity to power all those AI systems. That means utility and energy companies also stand to benefit a lot from this AI boom.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction. And AI is setting it all off.
Yeah, like a domino effect. The second major impact, according to JPMorgan at least, is on profit margins.
Okay.
AI can streamline processes, automate tasks. JPMorgan does predict that Europe will probably follow the US's lead when it comes to AI adoption, although at a somewhat slower pace. But there's this one detail that really kind of shows the scale of US dominance right now.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
Well, the economist Torsten Slick, he pointed out recently that NVIDIA's market cap, so the total value of all their shares, it's actually bigger than the entire economies of most other G7 countries.
Wow.
That's how massive this one company has become, in large part because of its role in AI.
That's wild. It really highlights the power and influence of AI in today's market. But with that kind of concentrated power comes a certain level of risk, right?
Oh, absolutely. If something were to happen to NVIDIA, if their value suddenly tanked, it could send shockwaves through global markets. Even retirement funds invested in those markets could feel it.
So it's not all, sunshine and rainbows then. There's a potential downside to all this AI-driven dominance.
Yeah, there's always a potential downside, especially when so much depends on just a handful of companies. But on the flip side, there are other experts who have a much more, shall we say, rosy outlook.
Okay.
For instance, you've got Nicholas Colas, co-founder of DataTrek Research. He's predicting that the S&P 500 could see average annual returns of over 10% for the next decade.
Wow.
And what's driving that? You guessed it, U.S. leadership in AI.
10%. That's a pretty bold prediction. What's his reasoning?
Well, Colas argues that the U.S. currently has this really strong hold on global venture capital. That's the money that fuels startups and innovation. And this makes it pretty unlikely that some non-U.S. tech company will suddenly appear and, knock the current American tech giants off their thrones.
Right.
We're talking about companies like Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta. They're the titans of the tech world.
Yeah.
And they're all based in the U.S.
So Colas is basically saying don't bet against America when it comes to AI in the stock market.
That's one way to put it. He believes the U.S. is calling the shots and that it's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. And if a new American tech giant does emerge, it'll likely go public, get listed on the S&P 500, and further boost those market returns. It's this self-reinforcing cycle of American innovation and market dominance.
That's a really interesting perspective. So we've got these potential risks on the one hand and this huge potential for gains on the other. It sounds like AI is making the stock market even more of a roller coaster ride.
I think that's a great analogy. But let's be real, these are just predictions. Nobody has a crystal ball when it comes to the stock market. The future is always uncertain. The best we can do is try to understand the forces at play.
Well said. So while no one can predict the future with absolute certainty, understanding these trends and expert opinions can give us some valuable insight into where things might be headed. And for those of us just starting to wrap our heads around AI and its impact, what are some key things we should keep in mind?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that AI isn't some futuristic concept. It's happening now. It's already reshaping industries, economies, and global markets as we speak. Understanding how AI is playing out, both the potential benefits and the risks, is absolutely crucial for navigating the future. Whether you're an investor or just someone trying to make sense of this rapidly changing world, It's a fascinating time for sure to watch it unfold. I mean, we're seeing AI go from science fiction to everyday reality. And the stock market is kind of like this big scoreboard reflecting that impact, in real time.
I like that. The stock market as like a scoreboard for the AI revolution. It's like watching one of those waves.
Yeah.
You're building momentum.
Yeah.
It's going to have a massive impact when it finally crashes.
Yeah.
But we're still in those early stages where we can choose how we want to ride that wave.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly why understanding those trends and predictions are so important. The more we know about AI's potential impact, the better decisions we can make about things like our investments, even our career choices, how we view the world.
I think for many people, AI still feels like this big mysterious thing, a little intimidating. But when you get past the hype, AI is really about using technology to make things more efficient and more automated. And as we've been talking about, that efficiency can drive those profits and fuel market growth.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that AI isn't just this, one giant thing. It's a whole range of technologies with all these different applications. Some are focused on analyzing data, some on automating complex tasks, and others on creating brand new products and services.
So it's more nuanced than just robots taking over the world.
Oh yeah, much more nuanced. Automation is a key part of AI, but it's not the whole picture. AI is also about making humans better at what they do, enabling us to do things we couldn't do before and find creative solutions to really complex problems.
Okay, so let's bring this back to the stock market. If someone is new to investing, how can they start to understand how AI is impacting the market? Where do they even begin?
I think a great place to start is by looking at the companies that are leading the way in AI. We've mentioned some already, NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta.
Right.
These companies are really shaping the future of AI, and their stock performance reflects that.
So by following these companies, investors can get a better sense of how the whole AI landscape is evolving. What kind of things should they be paying attention to?
Exactly. Look at things like earnings reports, product announcements, investments they make in research and development. Those are all clues that can help you figure out where AI is heading.
Like a trail of breadcrumbs leading you to the future of AI.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And remember, AI isn't just impacting the tech sector. It's also important to keep an eye on how companies in other industries are using AI, like healthcare, finance, transportation, manufacturing. I mean, AI is transforming almost every industry in some way.
Right.
And those changes will inevitably be reflected in the stock market. AI is becoming part of the very fabric of our economy.
It really is. It's so interconnected. Now, for anyone listening who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this, what's like the key takeaway? What's the one thing they should remember about AI in the stock market?
I think the biggest takeaway is AI is this powerful force reshaping the world, and the stock market is where that reshaping is most visible. By understanding the trends and predictions, you can learn how to benefit from this. Whether you're an investor or just a curious person, keeping up with AI is more important than ever.
It feels like we've only just started to explore this whole world of AI and its impact. There's so much more to dig into.
It's true. We've just scratched the surface. I hope everyone listening will keep learning about AI, read articles, take courses, whatever you can do, because the more you understand, the better prepared you'll be to handle these rapid changes we're seeing.
And remember, don't be afraid to challenge assumptions. Think critically about the stuff you read and hear out there. There's a ton of hype around AI, and being able to filter through all that and reach your own conclusions is really important.
That's such great advice. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement, but critical thinking is key. We need to make sure these technologies are being developed responsibly for the benefit of everyone.
That's a crucial point. AI has this incredible potential, to really make things better, but there are definitely some risks too. We have to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. The future of AI will be shaped by what we do now. So stay informed, stay engaged. Let's work together to make sure AI is a force for good.
Really well said. This has been a fascinating look at AI and its potential impact on the stock market. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure. And to all our listeners, remember, this is just the beginning when it comes to AI. Stay curious, everyone.